What's up, everybody? It is Wednesday, US January 10th. It's What Chaos. I'm DJ Bean, a.k.a. Young Gretzky. We got Pete Blackburn, a.k.a. the Marchenko Agenda, and LLPWHL, a.k.a. Sean DePaz. What's up, sir?
Howdy. I like that nickname.
I just thought that was, I didn't have that one planned. I did have the Marchenko Agenda for Pete. And definitely Young Gretzky for me. How does nobody go by like Young Gretzky or anything like that?
I'm sure somebody does. I don't know who it is.
Little Gretzky.
I mean, you can't really do that.
Like no, what? Wayne Jetsky.
I've heard that.
Who's gonna call themselves or call somebody
Little
else?
Gretzky?
Little Gretzky.
I love it. They should.
But it's like calling somebody Babe Ruth. It's like
I was playing EASHL the other day, and somebody slapped Gretzky as their play-by-play name, and the people that I was playing with were not fans of that. They're just like, wow, that's very cocky.
And that's lame. Like, if you're, like, I don't know. I think that, like, for a young guy like me, Young Gretzky is a cool nickname because it's classic. If you're doing some PWHL, EASHL, what was this?
That you got it.
Yeah, if you're doing that... You want your, like, name, and this is the name they say when you pass the puck and have it and stuff?
Yeah, it's your play-by-play name.
You want it to be, like, Rhino or something
They have
cool.
some crazy
or
ones.
Tino.
Tino, they have as one?
That's his.
Mine.
Oh, Tino.
Sean Tino.
Mine.
I like LLPWHL.
I might make my EASHL, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too. That is also like
Somebody,
the PWHL.
People say
too many
Eshel,
letters,
and I don't like that.
I don't like that either. That's too many letters. More than 3 is too many. But I'm gonna make it a woman. I think I'm gonna make my character a woman.
Nice, good for you. Congratulations,
Real
white knight.
I was
going to
say, would you like a cookie?
Yeah.
You sound
I'm gonna make my name.
Congrats on respecting women, Sean.
I might just keep my guy a name, or keep my guy a guy, but make the name Mr. PWHL. So like real.
I don't think that's
Mr.
in the game.
PWHL is a great nickname because people will immediately look at you sideways.
Oh,
like, what the
100%.
fuck is that supposed to be?
Be like,
That should be your Twitter name.
I am the face of the Professional Women's Hockey League.
There is a guy, and I think you know who I'm talking about. The guy who has like made himself the face of women's hockey.
Oh, possibly.
Yeah,
Sean?
Patrice Bergeron.
Sean, yeah. No,
Yeah,
there's a guy, and he's the worst.
I actually don't know who you're talking about, but we had an eventful day yesterday. Yesterday was one of those, like, I couldn't sleep at the end of the night, but I had to take 1.5 melatonin things because I was just so riled up. But like yesterday was a why we do this kind of day.
Yeah, definitely.
Doing all that shit with Cutter Gauthier and all that fallout. A lot of buzz around the sport of hockey.
I said it yesterday to Greg Wyshynski. I was like, what a year to start a podcast that sort of revolves around chaos. This has been the most chaotic NHL season that I can remember in terms of storylines in a long, long time. And the Cutter Gauthier one may be the cherry on top so far. I don't know how we top that, but it has been incredible. We've got a
great guest today.
It's Cutter Gauthier.
No, it's sexist Mr. PWHL over here.
I love Mr. PWHL.
Mr. PWHL is the hardest nickname I've ever heard in my life. I thought that I was going to introduce myself as Young Gretzky, and the rest of the show would be a DJ tribute episode for like what a nice nickname that is. And within about 8 seconds, we got to Mr. PWHL, and that is the best.
Listen,
because like it comes with allegations.
I don't know what to say. It's
support. A real like my shirt says. Stop asking me about this thing. My shirt, it's answered by my shirt.
Can you read the shirt?
Yeah.
It's got big like guy who has feminist in his Twitter bio.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shout out to the chat. They know my my EASHL name, Paul Hollywood. My play-by-play name is Howard Chuck.
Well, there's rumors in the chat now. I see that Baby Gronk just rizzed up Young Gretzky. I can't confirm nor deny.
U.S. Mr. PWHL.
U.S. Mr. PWHL. Yeah. You should
screw Montreal and Ottawa and Toronto.
I will say it's not the hottest start for
PWHL Boston.
PWHL.
Oh
Boston.
No. The tank is on. We're coming for the number one prospect. We're coming for Mrs. I don't know. I was gonna say Mrs. Celebrini, but that was gonna not hit the way I wanted it to. I don't know. We're coming for whoever the Macklin Celebrini of women's hockey is.
Have you aligned yourself with the Boston PWHL team?
I don't.
Why are you
align
saying
myself.
we then?
I don't align myself with losers.
Why are you saying we?
That's because they're all me.
Are you on the team?
I'm on the PWHL.
You are. I mean, the easy one is why can't I think of his name? Chris Traeger, actor, Wayne's World. Chris Traeger in Parks and Rec. Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
Like wearing the NFL hat. But I don't know.
Look at this.
I support the Shield.
Look at this.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're
the
cool
Shield
anymore, but like when I was in
W.
When I was in early high school, they would make jackets that just had like every NBA team on them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the most popular jacket.
I had bed sheets that had all the baseball teams.
I had that for sure.
So those are good.
That's just so that's where you piss.
We do have a Cutter Gauthier update that we found out a little bit more. He still hasn't spoken, still haven't fully heard his side of the story from his camp. But our pal Elliot Friedman, always in the know, came out and said, from what he understands, the Flyers were worried about some overages that we're going to carry into this year. But it does seem like the main piece
they
here,
didn't sign him. And he was upset that they didn't sign him.
Yeah, and it seems like the main piece here was that he wanted to be with the Flyers and be in the NHL this season. The Flyers suggested he go back to BC, and mainly so that, I think that he wanted, the Flyers were not opposed to him playing for them this year, it sounds like. But they didn't want to sign him at the end of last season.
Right. Okay. So entry-level contracts are 3 years long, and if you sign a player and if they're under 20 years old, which Gauthier would have been, and they play 10 games, then a year is burned off that contract. And with young players, it is very, very valuable to have them playing meaningful games while on their entry-level contract. A way to curry favor with them is to burn a year off their entry-level contract by saying, hey, Torrey Krug, sign with us, you play a few games, then your entry-level deal is shorter. Why is that better? Because then you get to your next contract quicker and you can make more money, and then you're also a year closer to unrestricted free agency.
Right, it's a bargaining chip.
It bumps up a big year of payment. So he wanted to sign with them at the end of last year. Philadelphia said, we don't want to sign you. The story that has been passed along is we don't want to have the overages on our cap the next year. I think that's kind of BS. I think it's just probably we want the 3 years that you play for us to be 3 full years and to mean something. So instead of this being year 2 of the entry-level deal, if he had signed with them at the beginning, got the full year, it would be year 1, and then they have control over him for longer.
And it's worth pointing out that when Cutter Gauthier's season ended last season at BC, the Flyers had 16 games remaining on their schedule. So he was in a position to maybe play more than 10 games and burn that first year of the ELC. The thing here, the takeaway here is that, like, if that's the case, it does scream that Cutter Gauthier had a preconceived bone to pick with the Flyers. This is standard operating procedure for the most part, involving a lot of young guys. Because if you're the Flyers, why would you want to burn the first year of the ELC on a top 5 pick in a season that doesn't really matter? And like you said, sometimes it's often used as a bargaining chip. They didn't need a bargaining chip with Cutter Gauthier. They already drafted him. They had his rights. It wasn't like we're trying to sign this undrafted guy, and we'll play him for 1 game, burn this first year of the ELC. And had he played less than 10 games, though, the contract would have slid.
And it would have begun next year. Yeah, it would have been. But he still would have been able to go back to college, because once you're done with NCAA, you're big dunzo. They curried favor with him, and when they drafted him 5th overall. That is a big thing to do for a young man. We're taking you 5th overall. You're going to be a potential franchise player for us. So far, in the court of public opinion, the Flyers are winning. right? Like we can all agree nobody's looking at the Flyers and saying, hey, they did anything wrong, unless you are so pro player that you say, well, if he wanted to come out, you should have known this is a valuable guy. Let's make him happy. I think it's kind of a bad precedent to set. I said yesterday famously that I don't believe in players' rights. I'm not that kind of guy.
Yeah.
I'm about structure and organization. I love bosses.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of those chuds on Instagram that like brags about paying like extra on their rent.
Yeah, just to support the grind.
Right. I'm just of that mindset. So,
if you won the lottery, you'd give it back and say, "No, I'm a grind for it."
There was a meme that said like, if I won the lottery, I'd give it all to my biggest enemy so that I could earn more than him one day.
Right.
Yeah, like so far, the Flyers are winning in the court of public opinion. I don't know what's going to come out that's going to make anybody think differently, but also like, I don't hate this kid.
Oh, well, here's what I mean. I made the point yesterday. I think Cutter Gauthier would be wise to lean into like the villain aspect. And, if he just hates Philly and didn't want to play in Philly, and that was the way that he went about not playing for the Philadelphia Flyers, I can respect it if he leans into it. And it does seem like he's leaning into it because he liked a video, a clip that was posted by Sean Avery, who apparently has a podcast, I guess. Sean Avery's got a podcast. And he kind of trashed the city of Philadelphia, was like, why the fuck would Cutter Gauthier want to play for the Flyers? We have that video, and Cutter Gauthier liked it, and it's kind of hilarious. We got the video, right?
Why would Cutter Gauthier want to play for the Philadelphia Flyers? Cheesesteaks, John Fetterman, the Liberty Bell, and now he's packing his bag, carry-on, and he's coming to California, Southern California, to win a Stanley Cup with Trevor Zegras. This is business, baby. All you greasy Flyer fans, all you fucking savages, you guys threw quarters at Santa Claus. Maybe Cutter Gauthier just doesn't like Danny Briere's son because he threw the wheelchair of a disabled girl down a flight of stairs. Maybe he doesn't like John Tortorella for a multitude of reasons.
I don't know Cutter from a hole in a wall.
Maybe he doesn't like fucking Gritty because no one likes Gritty. But Cutter Gauthier is an American hero. And he exercised his God-given right as an American.
That's all over the place.
That's endorsed by Cutter Gauthier, though.
That is so all over the place, and also very sunburned.
It's Sean Avery. Yeah, he looks like a catcher's
He's
mitt.
an American, and this is his God-given right. Like, are we doing what is it, Sean? Manifest Destiny?
Yeah. Yep.
Like, we're doing Manifest Destiny in 2024.
It is Cutter Gautier's God-given right to move west and take over more land.
Yes, that's.
Yeah, Sean Avery looks like a catcher's mitt, and he also looks like he's like auditioning for Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah. So, I mean, as long as Marty Scorsese is directing Sons of Anarchy, Sean Avery might end up being in it.
That's true. Good point.
Was he in Killers of the Flower Moon?
Was it Killers of the Flower Moon?
Avery was in.
He was in Oppenheimer. Yeah.
Oh, he was in Oppenheimer's. Right. So it's not Scorsese. It's Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan. Yeah,
right?
That's right. Yeah, because he was in the Batman movie. So yeah, it's Christopher Nolan.
Scorsese is the concert film director.
Correct. Right. No, that's Paul Thomas Anderson, the music video director.
Yes. Okay. Well, I don't know if I count that as a dub for young Cutter. Do you?
A dub? No, I mean, like, not necessarily a dub, but I like the fact that he's leaning into, like, yeah, who cares? Fuck off. That's my take. Is like, I want him to be an asshole.
Yeah. People in the chat saying that's Nolan.
Assholes.
It's that's Katie, and she's from Jeopardy.
That she's two-time champ?
Five-time champ.
2 weeks in a row?
She's gonna host now. It's her and Aaron Rodgers.
Nice.
Together.
Aaron Rodgers, famously also winning in the court of public opinion.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, I am okay with a player, like, I guess, not necessarily like forcing his way out. I don't like the optics of it, like, especially as a fan of teams. I mean, Sean, you experienced it with the Sabres. It sucks when you like the player.
Jimmy Vesey.
With Jimmy Vesey, famously. Like in Boston, the best example I can think of is like Kyrie Irving. Like, it sucks when you like the player and you're just like, can it please work out? And it seems the big thing holding it up is the player is hell-bent on it not working out. That sucks for Flyers fans. I am positive they're going to get over it because that is their energy. Well, they're not going to let it go, but like, they're not going to lose. Actually, they will lose sleep at night.
I mean, it's going to be a John Tavares kind of deal in Long Island. Like, Long Island still hates John Tavares. Every time he visits, it's a nightmare. It's the loudest place that you've ever seen in your life. That's going to be the energy for Cutter Gauthier in Philadelphia, basically for his entire career. It's not going to go away. They're not going to forget. They're going to hate that guy forever. And I think that's good for the game. That creates storylines. Once again, I'm just pissed that they're only going to play twice a year.
Can I say that the NHL had like a kind of good meme day yesterday with all the Jamie Drysdale, Trevor Zegras stuff? I think that mostly it was kept above board.
Yeah,
it danced into some questionable areas.
Which one? The Ducks broke up this gay couple and their dog.
Yeah, right.
That was the best.
Yeah, like shame on you, NHL.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I hate this fucking term, bromance, but I just didn't know that relationship was that strong. It is fun that from that comes a heartbroken Trevor Zegras, not because I want to see Trevor Zegras heartbroken, but I just didn't know that like that was their Swayman and Ullmark in Anaheim.
Who had a worse 24 hours yesterday? Jeremy Swayman or Trevor Zegras?
The answer is Jeremy Swayman.
Trevor Zegras lost his best friend, was traded out of Anaheim. Then Trevor Zegras got hurt in the game last night, had to exit. Also heard that he was also on the trade block. We'll get to that in a second. But then Jeremy Swayman saw his best friend get hurt, not traded, but hurt. Linus Ullmark left last night's game. Didn't look super great. Did hear that there's some optimism on that front. So fingers crossed for Bruins fans. But he saw Linus Ullmark go down, and then he had to go in overtime and lost.
Yeah, right. I mean, that was the thing. Like, as soon as he was getting ready, and Jack Edwards basically said as much. God bless Jack. He was like, well, this guy's probably about to come in and lose. Because, like, that is impossible. There's not... it's not like bringing in a reliever where you can warm him up for a little bit in overtime. It's like, okay, get in there, dummy. Go ahead.
And as Edwards pointed out last night, the goal that he gave up was very much if he had been playing all game, he probably wasn't giving that goal up.
It was like a second shot he faced type of
and it was
thing.
just like a positioning feel kind of thing.
Yeah, so that sucks. I do think the answer, though, is Jeremy Swayman. Just like knowing where his heart is, his two favorite things to do are play hockey and then just have Linus Ullmark in his life. I don't know if he was in it, but I saw Ullmark posted something on his Instagram story having a fika.
Oh,
and I was like, you know what we got to do?
Ultimate goal, fika with Linus Ullmark.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? Like Sean and Pete and I should fika, but I knew it wouldn't work because it'd be like talking shop at a party. We'd sit down and then we'd like come
Just
up
podcast.
with like, we'd either podcast or like joke about the Sabres or come up with ideas and like editing strategies and shit like that. Some people just have it. Ullmark has it.
Yeah.
And by it, I mean a groin injury?
Hip
injury?
it seems like.
It looks like it was right here.
He's getting some stuff checked out this morning to determine the severity of it, but been told there's optimism on that front. So fingers crossed, Bruins need both those guys. Trevor Zegras, after the big splash in Anaheim, came out yesterday that maybe they're pursuing the idea of also moving on from Trevor Zegras, which would be a wild turn of events if they traded Drysdale and Zegras in the same season or like in the same calendar year. Zegras just signed 3.575 or 3 times 575 over the offseason. He's in the first year of that deal. But it does make sense to me if the Ducks were to explore the possibility of moving on from Trevor Zegras and like maybe eventually get there, especially now that Gauthier is in the pipeline.
Yeah, I mean, they have so many awesome young forwards. Unless they like are benching Leo Carlson and not load managing him. Unless they're like, this guy stinks. We wanted to draft Adam Fantilli
Leo Carlson
so
does
badly,
not stink.
And he was like, it's Columbus for me. Don't take me, nerds. I don't think so, but I'm saying like unless they're not super high on any of these young guys, which I don't know why they wouldn't be. And you do have like the veteran leadership with all-star Frank Vetrano, but between
Also a guy I think they should explore trading.
Carlson, McTavish. I mean, like Zegras. Who else do they have offensively? Gauthier.
Troy Terry.
Yeah, right. Troy Terry. So like you've got at least an awesome center and an awesome wing on 2 lines.
Yeah.
And that's like the Claude Julien team building strategy. Just like you don't need amazing lines. Have some killer offensive pairs and you could be set for life. And the Ducks look like they're moving towards being able to have like 2-3 awesome lines based off of just amazing duos. So would I move Zegras? Before all this shit happened, I would have moved Zegras.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's gonna be tough right now in the next like couple months to try to move Zegras, especially if he's hurt again. Like he's having a terrible year. He's got 4 goals, 3 assists in 20 games. So not exactly like numbers to sell high on. And so I might wait until the summer. But there are, like, I do wonder if Anaheim is approaching the point where this is, like, not necessarily a blow-up because they are a rebuilding team, but I think they got to start shipping out more and more guys. That's why I would look at, like, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that Adam Henrique is going to be gone at the trade deadline. Then Jakob Silfverberg could also be in that mix. But, like, Frank Vatrano has a year of control beyond this season. He's an all-star this year. He's having a pretty good year. I would seriously consider moving him and seeing what you can get back and just kind of punting on this year. Obviously, they're not a great team, and they need help.
Check out Mr. Didn't watch the Ducks last night.
Sorry. So they're 5-3 win last night.
They spunked. Yeah, they were awesome.
The Ducks need to kind of, I think, start stripping away pieces, try to maximize their position this year in terms of draft positioning, while also maybe improving the back end and getting some futures. And they've got plenty of guys that can kind of get them moving in that direction.
Well, the good and the bad is I feel like any trade that you're going to make this season, if you're trading like Adam Henrique, who makes $5.8 million, it can't be like 2nd and 3rd round pick shit like that. You're going to have to take players back because the other team is just going to have to unload money because absolutely nobody has cap space. So try to figure out ways to, I know they just peeled off a really good young defenseman, but like, I think what do they probably need most? Like a good veteran defenseman. I don't know if that comes in the form of this sort of trade, but like this offseason, if you could do something with Zegras for a good defenseman who maybe has like less high end, less pizzazz. Like Zegras is the guy. Like if there were a version of the Taylor Hall this year, like trade Trevor Zegras for whatever modern Adam Larson is.
Right. Like it's
although if I'm the team, I'm not trading modern Adam Larson for that.
You're trading him to a team that wants to get a little sexier, and they're trying to get rid of, and the Ducks are trying to get somebody less sexy.
Right.
So like, yeah, it's a sex appeal swap.
The Ducks at this point are well sexy. They don't need, although like, I don't know, if we're doing sexy player rankings and we don't mean romantically, we don't mean sex wise.
We don't mean like looks wise either.
Right. No.
Just talking about like marketing
sex
appeal.
Yeah, right. Like, well, what's shiny and exciting? I'm not crazy about the whole thing. Call me old fashioned, but Zegras is up there.
Yeah, like I'm not super high on Zegras as a player. I think that he's a very creative offensive player. I think there's plenty of skill, plenty of talent there. I'm not loving his two-way game. I don't know if I love kind of. I'm just not like in love with the type of player that he is. I think that he can certainly help a team, but I don't think that like you want him to be like your 1A. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. The Oilers are red hot because last night they barely beat the resting in peace Chicago Blackhawks 2-1. It was scary times for Oilers fans, but they win. They have now won 8 games in a row. They are, what are they? 18-6-0 under Chris Knobloch. They are a red hot team right now. I want to talk about how they've gotten here, but first, let's talk about the chaotic ending of that game. Did you see the end of that game?
I did see the end of that game.
Zach Hyman
I saw all of that game.
Oh, really?
Couldn't miss Chicago Edmonton on ESPN Plus. A real headliner.
Well, let's talk about the ESPN Plus part first. I don't fucking want to watch that game on ESPN Plus. I have to go on Twitter and see electric fucking clips of Gene and the boys doing all sorts of cool shit during their broadcast. There were two options for me to watch on ESPN Plus. There was the rinky-dink one they gave me, and then there was one in Spanish. And I was like, I've kind of forgotten Spanish, so maybe this could be like a Spanish immersion thing.
Was it John Buchagras speaking Spanish?
Yes. No, I don't even know who was on the ESPN Plus call. I was so like huffing and puffing.
It was Sergio Dip.
I wish.
That would rock.
Love Sergio Dip. That was the most ESPN thing in the world. Sergio Dip came out, was fucking magnetic, and they were like, what? Not something we planned? Gotta banish this guy forever. Love you, Sergio. Miss you. But, Sean, do you have what Gene was doing during the Sportsnet broadcast? So obviously the Blackhawks extremely banged up. This is what we missed because we had to watch the ESPN broadcast instead of Sportsnet.
Seth Jones with the shoulder. Okay, Johnson with the foot. Okay, Beauvillier with the wrist.
Gene, don't do it. Don't do it, Gene.
The most painful. I won't do it to Andreas Athanasiou. But listen, up to Louis and Jack, who are on pins and needles to get period 2 underway.
I said to Sean earlier today, if I were Gene motherfucking Principe and some bitch ass broadcaster fixed their mouth to say, don't do it, I would be.
Come on, that was like for the humor.
Do you know why they watch Oilers games?
To watch Gene do it.
To watch Gene do it.
That's right.
If I were Gene, I would have been like, I think I know what I'm doing. I know, in all seriousness, I agree that like, don't do it, Gene is an iconic line.
Yeah.
But I'd be like, please don't talk to me that way.
I can't tell if we should make don't do it Gene shirts or do it Gene shirts.
Oh. Sound off in the comments.
We should make Gene jackets.
Oh,
Gene jackets, and it's just like a Letterman jacket with Gene's face on it.
best idea.
That's an awesome idea. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back for that one.
Young PWH, what's his name? Mr. PWHL?
Yes,
Mr.
with our
PWHL.
nicknames, Young Gretzky, Gene jackets.
Oh my God.
With Young Gretzky.
Wait, you said they're Letterman jackets, right?
Yeah, like Gene jackets.
Yeah, but they're called,
but misdirection Gene jackets. Yeah.
If teams start giving us jerseys, or start giving me jerseys, I guess, because they keep giving you jerseys, request Mr. PWHL on the back.
Yes.
Oh my God, we have to get our nicknames on there. What did I say? You're
I'm
the
the Marchenko agenda. That's not going to fit on a nameplate.
And also, could you imagine, like, and I'm picking a random team, Dallas Stars.
Yeah.
We're not going to see Dallas. At least we have no plans to see Dallas right now. If they were just like, put Marchenko on.
Yeah, right. Marchenko on the back.
And a different team's player
I have a
on
Kirill
their jersey.
Marchenko jersey for every team in the
An
NHL.
86
Gotta stay
Marchenko.
strapped.
I almost
Florida
did
Panthers
that years ago. I loved the Warriors because I was just excited about how they played basketball, and my favorite basketball player was Kyrie Irving, and I was like, why the fuck can't I just get a Kyrie Irving Warriors jersey?
I mean, I feel like I've said this before on the show. I very desperately wanted a Derek Jeter Red Sox jersey growing up, and they wouldn't let me do it.
And what was the explanation there? Just because you like both?
I loved Jeter growing up, and I was a diehard Red Sox fan.
You know who
Recognized game.
You know who Red Sox fans loved around that era? Red Sox fans loved Bernie Williams.
Oh, yeah.
It was
Bernie
like,
Williams almost came to the Red Sox.
almost came to the Red Sox. And I think that the Red Sox fans were like, yeah, so he's one of us now. We respect it. Yeah, hey, they made you an offer you couldn't refuse. It's my Boston accent impression. Yeah, but Gene was cooking. We had to watch the game instead. And Zach Hyman just, it was an annoying night for Zach Hyman because there was a goal that got called back, an Evan Bouchard or Zach Hyman goal. I'm not sure whose goal it would have been. They called it back. They overturned it for goaltender interference. Then there was a Zach Hyman goal.
A light goaltender interference.
What did you think about it? Like, seriously.
I don't think that it was goaltender interference.
I thought the broadcast was like, obviously you can't challenge this one. It's too clearly goaltender interference. And I was like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But I'm biased.
I also don't know what goaltender interference is.
Totally. Just going off field.
Yeah.
Going off how players react. Like if the goalie wasn't that mad.
Yeah.
After.
Right,
So I was like, I don't know. It didn't seem like goaltender interference. I don't think he got him. But then Zach Hyman actually scored a goal, and it got called back because of the longest, most frustrating offsides review that ended up being called back. So it ended up remaining a 1-1 game.
It was 2-1.
It was 2-1.
That,
Right.
That
it
would
was
have been
2-1. It would have
goal.
been 3-1 at the time. Draisaitl was off by, I've been watching The Sopranos a lot, so I'm not going to say this, but a pubic hair.
A hole. Oh, okay.
You know what they say? They'd say like by a something hair.
Oh.
By a hua?
He was off by a hua.
Off by one hua. It was sorry, it was all the crank I was on.
This offside review made me more mad and upset about the state of the NHL than anything in the recent memory. And I've always been a big like spirit of the rule kind of guy when it comes to offsides, believer in that, like, if you need frame by frame analysis, it doesn't fucking matter. Like the rule for offside is put in place so that you can't gain an advantage over an opponent. And if you're going frame by frame analysis, then I don't think you're gaining a significant advantage. Obviously, there are certain times where you're like, yeah, okay, like the replay was helpful in identifying that one wasn't a good goal or whatever. In this specific case, number one, I didn't think that Draisaitl was offside because I think that him kicking the puck to his stick on the blue line constitute as possession. I think that was an intentional move in possession. I didn't see him as offside in that moment. So, like, first of all, didn't think that it was offside. Number two, the replay review took an hour in a close game after a good goal, like took all the air out of that game.
Which somehow had air, by the way. That game was not supposed to have air. And the Blackhawks, shout out Blackhawks fans, I feel bad for you. This just happens when your team sucks. They played a good game with absolutely no roster. That was an exciting game to watch.
Right.
And we got to take a break for 9 hours.
Got to take a break for 9 hours to go back and forth on this replay where we're showing the same fucking thing and nobody has any idea. And we're just kind of waiting for 10 minutes. And I didn't think that it was offside. I thought that it was so minuscule. It barely had any impact on the play, on the result, on the goal. And it drives me crazy. And the fact that it was brought back just was like the lowest that I've felt about the offside review in so long.
Yeah, I mean, after 8 minutes of circumcising the mosquito, my feeling was like, maybe it's offside. And like you do all that and then wipe the goal off the board. So annoying. And I'm not trying to get into like the frame by frame was it like that's the shit that they're doing. This conversation is us complaining about the fact that exists because we're spirit of the rule guys. Leon Draisaitl did his job. He did the right thing. He followed the rule. If he was a drop off sides, he still like, look,
it didn't impact the play. It didn't give them an advantage.
If he wanted to be offsides, he could have been. He could have really gone for it, but he didn't. So like, I hate that shit. And after the game, people were throwing flowers at McDavid. We'll get to that in a second. I like the point that Knobloch brought up after the game, though, which was like, yeah, I mean, I've got like 20, 30 seconds to make a call on it, whether or not I want to challenge something like that when it happens. Can we have like equal times?
Right,
or at least like kind of close to equal times? Like you can have 2 minutes or something like that.
Even less. Like if you can't make the call within a minute, a minute and a half, then again, a circumcising mosquito chat loved that one. But like it's so minuscule that it probably didn't have much of an impact on the result of the play. So like cap it at a minute and a half and get back to business.
I forget what league it was, but when they started doing review, I think it might have been the NFL. The commissioner or somebody has said something about, I'm going to butcher it, but paraphrasing, it was about like, this is for a bar full of drunks. Like if we want to get the call right that a bar full of drunks can see like, oh, like they made, well, what about that thing? It's like, okay, fix it. That's what it's for.
Be able to tell able to tell if it's on mute.
Right.
Be able to tell what's going on in the replay review if you had it on mute.
I like that too.
Because think about what you would have been like if you were at a bar watching that game last night, watching that replay review for 10 minutes.
You'd ask if they're looking for something else.
After the second time they showed it, you'd been like, what the fuck are they looking for here? It's clearly like, we can't tell. This doesn't look like it's offside. What are they looking for here?
Yeah. So speaking of a bar full of drunks, here's an inebriated and mouthing off Connor Bedard Connor McDavid after the game.
For a team that you guys had that Makar goal go against you a couple years ago, do you have an opinion on the Draisaitl one? It's all similar. What did you think of that?
I do. I mean, obviously, if it takes you 15 minutes to determine if it's offside or not, it probably doesn't really matter. I talked to the linesman after. Ultimately, it's not their call, I guess. Obviously they said it came down from the league, but you zoom in, you keep zooming in until you can't zoom in anymore, and I guess it's offside. So, you know what? These are calls that change games, and ultimately it didn't go our way. That was a big call. It would have really hurt them, and I thought it should have been onside. I mean, it's kind of possession too, right? Like the argument of possession. That whole debate can start again. It was such a close one. You'd like to see it. I think the NHL uses the analogy dead wrong, right? If it's dead wrong or something like that. I don't know what they say. Like they want it to be clear and obvious, right? That one's certainly not clear and obvious.
Fair.
Okay, so I like that. I think that people online liked it too much. They were like, they were making that like the J.K. Simmons Academy Award speech. You liked it?
That was me. I liked it a lot.
I know. I saw like everybody liked it.
Yeah, I mean, it's
fine.
It's not like the first example. It's a continuation of Connor McDavid being a good interview, and he at some point recently he has turned into like one of the better and more thoughtful guys behind a mic, and. Who saw that coming? Because that guy was unlistenable in his first few years in the league. Just a horribly bland interview. And it does seem like he has gotten more comfortable. He is a very thoughtful, very smart hockey player, obviously. And I think that I agree with everything that he fucking says there. So
I like everything he said there too, and I agree with it. I'm not blown away. Like I think that he put it into words that made sense for a lot of people. And I say this as the biggest Oilers fan in the world. My take on Connor McDavid in that moment is don't be in a 2-1 game against the Blackhawks. Yeah, I'm yelling at the refs and I'm mad about the refs, but you're not getting off the hook here either. And obviously I'm not saying it's Connor McDavid's fault, but like my big takeaway with the Oilers game from an Oilers standpoint is like, boy, like we got out with 2 points somehow. Don't know how the fuck that happened, that Stuart Skinner was the player of the game and bailing us out left and right. Another thing that happened in that game, by the way, those weren't the only two Zach Hyman things. He missed 2 empty net goals in the final shift of the game.
So he really could have had like 4
He could have had
goals.
his dick out. Yeah.
We did have a hat trick last night. Matthew Tkachuk. And I started
Hatterbox.
I started Hatterboxed.
Yeah.
It's like letterbox, but hat trick reviews. I told you I was going to be doing hat trick reviews. I think I gave Matthew Tkachuk a 2.6 out of 3 for last night's hat trick because one of them was an empty netter, but it did come from distance. It came from his own end. So points for like the long distance empty netter. That's pretty cool. Had a nice tip goal and then had a nice little on the rush snipe one timer. So 2.6. It also is a natural hat trick. So extra nice little bump there. 2.6 out of 3.
Do you have any like steadfast rules for this, or like if it's
my steadfast rule is that if you get a goal out of from an empty netter, it's most likely going to be a full point deduction.
But since it was,
the fact that it was from distance and that it was a natural hat trick, I'm giving him the 0.6.
Okay.
Well, I had a 0.6 time at the big game, and it's all because of Game Time. I used them to get tickets. It was right before the game, and I was like, shoot, it's almost game time. Where am I going to get the tickets? And my wife said, DJ, you said it right there. It's game time.
Your
Why don't you use
wife.
Game Time? Yeah. And
Not your first wife.
No.
That whore.
And my wife said, DJ, you said it right there. It's game time. And I said, what are you talking about, my wife? And she said, game time It's the one-stop destination for tickets, whether you're traveling a long distance like a Matthew Tkachuk empty netter, or you just want to go next door and catch a game there. Game Time is going to have all the tickets you need. If you want one ticket, you could get that. They've got a great little feature where you select the amount of tickets that you want, and they'll filter by that amount of tickets. How many times does it happen? You go to get tickets and say, that looks like a good spot. I can only buy 50 tickets. And Game Time, you're not going to have that experience. You put in right there 2 tickets, you and your wife, or 3 tickets, your wife
and your wife's boyfriend.
No, your guma. You know, you could take whoever you want to take to the game. It's another feature that comes thanks to Game Time. You get to pick who you bring to the game. They're your tickets with Game Time. So use code CHAOS for $20 off. That's CHAOS for $20 off your purchase on Game Time. And if you're listening to this podcast or watching it, send us tweets with your receipts. Don't have any numbers in there or anything, but say, and I get to pick who goes to the game because they're my tickets. Game Time, they're your tickets. Oilers fired Jay Woodcroft.
It's like, wait, what?
Fired Jay Woodcroft on November 12th. They'd won their last game. I saw a graphic yesterday. This is what got me thinking about this. After the game last night, I think it was Bleacher Report, somebody had some sort of big graphic that said Oilers are 18-6-0 under Chris Knobloch. And I'm like, well, they're also 19-6-0 in their last 25 games because they got that last win with Jay Woodcroft. But they were 3-9-1 under Jay Woodcroft. Fired him on November 12th. Since then are 18-6-0. And that makes them, since hiring their new coach, the second best team in hockey. They are second only in points per game to the Jets, who have 1.62 points per game. They have the Oilers 1.5 points per game. So since this coaching change, they have been absolutely outrageous. And I ask, would they be going on this run or something like it if they had not made a coaching change?
I doubt it. It just really feels like they needed a kick in the pants. And they got that from firing Jay Woodcroft. It sent a message. And this team has kind of tightened it up and not been such an absolute circus.
I don't know, though. Like,
I obviously
they
don't
were gonna make
know.
a run. They were gonna make a run at some point. Like, there's no way they could have cratered for this long. I just feel bad for Jay Woodcroft in all this because he was for sure a scapegoat. And
people were saying that at the time. Like, I think that two things can be true. A coach can need to go while also being a good coach. And I just don't think that Jay Woodcroft had any more runway in Edmonton with the way that team was playing. And I mean, we talked about it so much where it was just like, they are going to need to play basically perfect hockey the rest of the way if they're going to make up this difference and get back into the race. And they have since then.
What if I were to tell you, all right, so they fire Jay Woodcroft on November 12th. And if I were to tell you on January 10th, they would be in a November 12th to January 10th stretch in which they have been worse than the Winnipeg Jets, you'd be like, well, then who are they firing now? Who are they trading now? But the Jets are the only team that's been better. Let me give you some before and after. So under Woodcroft, 13 games, 2.69 goals for per game. 3.92 goals against per game, 23.9% on the power play, 70% on the penalty kill. That is all fucking dreadful. Under Knobloch, 4.08 goals for per games. That is 1.39 more goals a game. That is insane.
That's a huge number.
2.63 goals against per game. That's 1.29 fewer allowed per game.
It's like basically half.
27% on the power play. 87.5% on the PK. So 1.39 more goals, 1.29 fewer allowed, much better power play, and outrageously better penalty kill.
And they're getting saves.
Something has changed like crazy under Knobloch, and I like Knobloch. I just don't feel like he's come in and saved the day. I feel like I'm glad as an Oilers fan that it's all happening. I feel bad for Woodcroft and all this.
I mean, yeah. So the thing is, like, the Oilers were not playing like, I guess they were kind of playing like the Oilers, but like they weren't playing up to their potential under Jay Woodcroft.
Mm-hmm.
And they have been playing to the potential under Chris Knobloch. And like what that means, why, the reason, like I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I know, but there's obviously been a turnaround that coincided with firing the coach. So to say, like, could they be doing this under Jay Woodcroft? Who knows? Maybe, but I feel like they needed to fire Jay Woodcroft to find out if they could flip that switch, and they did.
Well, I was listening to the radio yesterday with my guma, and I heard a shout out from my dear friend and work father, Mike Felger. They were talking about David Pasternak's infamous shootout attempt against the Avalanche, and Kevin Majori, the producer, brought up, hey, I don't like the shootout. Get rid of it. Felger was saying, well, then what are they going to do? And he said, well, you heard what Zach Werenski said on What Chaos. Here's that exchange.
How do we settle them? Just keep playing.
You know DJ Bean and Pete Blackburn, right?
Yes,
they had Zach Werenski on their show.
After they were done grab-assing about, stupid crap, do they ever get down to talking hockey?
Werenski said he's a defenseman for the Blue Jackets.
The number of times I have heard that man, and he is the media king of Boston and the absolute best, a legend, fucking weirdo. That's why I like him. We're two different kinds of weirdos, but he's just a massive fucking weirdo.
He's a sports fan.
He is got no time for that. The number of times I have heard him use the term grab ass, and I have never, unless they've been mocking him or quoting him, I've never heard anybody say grab ass. He says grab ass all the time, or every time I hear him speak, because usually it's about shit that we're doing.
He says grab ass all the time, and he criticizes David Pastrnak like David Pastrnak ran over his family dog.
He apparently said, I saw a quote about this. I didn't hear him say it, but apparently he said his recent struggles are nothing new. He's been like this all season.
Yeah, it's and
he's fourth in the league in points.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Also, the same guy earlier this year that said that David Pastrnak was stat humping by scoring an empty net goal.
So for years and years, I would go on and we do various shows together, and we would just not plan on it, end up screaming at each other and melting down because both of us were so disgusted the other one existed, and that their brain thought about hockey the way they did. Here's a clip from 2017, me and Mike Felger making Bruins lines.
Lyle's second pair with Adam McQuaid, and then gonna get my Jason Sudeikis on and do some Millers. That movie wasn't that bad, actually.
I have no idea what it's talking about.
It's Jennifer Aniston's in it.
Okay, whatever. Save your pop culture crap for the other show. Okay, I have no idea what you're talking about. How about the...
We're
grab
the
ass.
Did he say grab ass there?
No. He just had no time for your grab ass.
I'm surprised you know who Jennifer Aniston was. I tell you what, my favorite joke is, hey, did you hear about that actress who got stabbed?
Witherspoon?
So you say, shit, who was Reese something? And they say Witherspoon? You say no with a knife.
Mm-hmm. That was a classic one in second grade.
I told him that one, and it was the best because he had no idea. He was like, an actress got stabbed, huh? And I was like, yeah, Reese something. And he was like, oh, that's terrible. He's like, who was it? And I was like, Reese something. And I was like, this guy doesn't know who fucking Reese Witherspoon is. He's
Reese Davis.
The best. We didn't do this, but I was thinking of having him on today to be like, hey, saw the clip, appreciate it. But did text him with it. He said, he was like, I've never seen the show, didn't mean any harm, just assumed that without a clock, it's just epic levels of grab ass. And I was like, sure fucking is, man. And the players have a ball doing it. But was going to say, hey, call into the show and we will talk about shootouts and what we should do about them. And then when he came on, we would just do a game time read and fuck around and make up, add shit. But he's the best. And do they ever get down to talking hockey?
We sure did.
An iconic.
Gonna be putting that on a shirt at some point soon. Do you have to mention Chaos Chain? Seattle Kraken beat the Buffalo Sabres.
They're not letting go.
You talked about the two hottest teams in hockey right now in the Winnipeg Jets and the Edmonton Oilers. Got to talk about the Seattle Kraken because they might be the third best team in hockey. Well, I know that they have been the third best team in hockey for the past month or so. They actually have the second best points percentage over the last month. They're 9-1-2 over the last month. They've allowed just 10 goals at 5-on-5 in 12 games.
So are the Jets struggling then? Because Oilers have to be ahead of them there, right?
No, the Jets are.
Oh, right. Because Oilers lost a few before they went on this run.
Yeah, so it's technically Kraken hotter than the Edmonton Oilers right now.
Do we have any new rules that you're going to add to the chain today?
No, but I just want to talk about just how good the Seattle Kraken have been. 10 goals at 5-on-5 in the last 12 games is insanely impressive. And, Joey Decord has basically played every single game in net over that span. I think he's only not started one of the games.
The pride of Arizona State University.
There you go. And obviously he's playing super well. He's got a .954 save percentage. But also worth pointing out that, this isn't necessarily a team that's being saved by unbelievable goaltending right now. Are they benefiting from it? Absolutely, of course. Well, anytime your goalie has a .954 save percentage over a month, you're probably going to be benefiting from that. But Seattle Kraken have allowed the third fewest high danger chances per 60 over that span. So it's not like they're getting super bailed out. They are playing really, really well defensively. They could use a little bit of help offensively. They're not going to be outscoring their problems once things kind of come back down to earth a little bit. But this is a good team playing a very, very strong 200-foot game. Could use a few more pucks in the net. So I don't know.
They just need to
need a little help.
Yeah, maybe you trade Adam Larson for Trevor Zegras.
For Trevor Zegras. I love that. Love that idea.
The trade is 1-for-1. Get on it.
Do got to mention next Chaos Chain game tomorrow night. The Seattle Kraken head to Washington to face the red-hot Washington Capitals.
Is anybody in Edmonton out there? Because the Popeyes Chicken in Edmonton is making Edmonton Oilers collectible cups, and they are amazing. Sean and I each have a Johnny Gaudreau cup that we got from Columbus.
Drinking water out of it last night, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
How'd it go down?
It was below average.
Really?
Yeah.
That water tasted too expensive.
For how much money you paid for that cup?
It was not producing the extent that I was expecting it to.
But as the owner of that cup, you still pretended like it's going really well.
Oh, yeah. No, I ignored the problems, but there were certainly problems.
Did a pizza come flying out of the cup?
Did it taste like a muffin?
I took a sip out of it, and I immediately gave my most valuable possession to somebody else.
That's a bummer. But look at these. I want that Zach Hyman cup. Like the Ekholm cup, you could kind of... Oh, we got somebody.
Weird foursome. Why did they choose that foursome of collector's cups?
It is so weird to me. I am very much down for the Darnell Nurse cup and the Zach Hyman. The Nuge one, I like. That's fine. Ekholm?
Why do you hate Matthias Ekholm so much?
Because he sucked at the beginning of the season.
I just want to know.
It's the weirdest axe to grind.
I don't have an axe to grind. I just don't really care about him.
It seems like you care about him because, you're like, this fucking guy every time he does something below average.
He's just washed-ish.
No, he's...
I just don't understand, because if I was like a Popeyes exec and they were like, all right, these are the 4 players that we want, I would be like, but we want people to come to Popeyes. Give me McDavid cut.
I mean, Zach Hyman. Just going to fly off the shelves.
True.
Hashtag NHL All-Star Vote, Kirill Machenko. Hashtag NHL All-Star Vote, Zach Hyman. I saw the Blue Jackets put something out about Fantilli today. They're kind of all over the place. I would say focus on one guy and make a hard push, but who am I to say no to Adam Fantilli going there? That'd be amazing. So send those cups if you can. Zach Hyman, and also I'd take a Darnell Nurse one. I wouldn't throw away a Nugent Hopkins one.
Please just send him the Matthias Ekholm one. That's all I want. I want you to be like, hey, send in a cup your way, or you're looking forward to this package for days, and then you open it up and it's Matthias Ekholm.
Actually send multiple Hyman ones and Nurse ones because I want to trick them out.
Hyman's active
bedazzle
now,
them.
But Ekholm, you got to wait a couple of weeks.
I mean, if you get two Nugent Hopkins cups, that's basically the same as one Johnny Gaudreau cup.
Yeah,
which is kind of hilarious.
Also say these are dope cups.
They are good cups. Yeah.
The Johnny Gaudreau one, though, was also very sick.
It was a sick cup, minus the fact that it was Johnny Gaudreau on it. I also am not a fan of clear cups.
Yeah, same.
So that was I would rather it the other souvenir cups.
Something
that have
about
something hits different when you can't see what I'm drinking.
Something about the rim of the clear plastic souvenir cup that sounds crazy, but it just like hits the mouth differently.
It's a good
than
rim job.
The solid black or white one. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I feel like I accidentally made an inappropriate joke.
No.
Pete said I just said it's a good rim.
Like something about like the clear one. Not as good.
The Bruins one is the best one I have, unfortunately, of the 3 that I've collected so far.
I forgot you got a Bruins one. Got that thanks to Game Time.
True.
That's
Game
right.
Time came in and they said, "Who's thirsty?"
I can afford souvenir cups because of all the money I save on Game Time.
That's fantastic.
I do want to do a quick little shout out to the NHLPA because they launched a mental health training program for players. It's not mandatory. It's called like the First Line, but it's like essentially a mental health 101 course. 20 active NHL players from 5 different teams have already enrolled and taken part in. It's essentially like a workshop to kind of teach guys about mental health, which is very cool. I'm glad that exists. So
love that exists. Don't love having to enroll in stuff. This is your mental health we're talking about. It's not turned into a chore.
I hope that the process is very easy and stress free because this guy's trying to improve their mental health, not be burdened by a fucking
enrolling.
form.
You're waiting on applications. Be like, oh, where you apply? Who's got the time? Sean, spin the wheel so we can say something about a random NHL team to end the game.
Whose wheel spin is this? Is you?
I mean, Sean's gonna be clicking it no matter what.
Yeah, but you got to say something about the team that it lands on.
I'll say it.
All right.
Give it to me. I want the ball.
I'll take the one afterwards.
Spin it. No, we only do one.
No, we're doing 2.
Let's go.
We're doing one for each person.
Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah, talk about them.
All right.
Do it.
I recently checked, and the autographed JJ Peterka authentic jersey is now back to being more expensive than a new authentic JJ Peterka jersey. So
you hate to see it.
I'm going to have to either wait for a sale or something else before we get the autographed JJ Peterka jersey. And that is...
Go to Buffalo and get them to sign it.
That's true. And that is your Buffalo Sabres take of the day.
Unbelievable. That's unfortunate.
It's a good take.
I want some real hockey talk about my team, but it's okay.
Okay, Felger.
Should I leave it the same team in there?
Leave it,
so you can, okay.
Yeah. It does.
Like these are like the takes that I want. I want it to be like a...
the Los Angeles Kings.
Give me a King's thought. Give me
my King's thought is that they are definitely not regretting the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade and contract right now because his numbers are bad. They're so bad. And the Winnipeg Jets are in first place in the entire league. Although the Los Angeles Kings also doing very well. So
no, the PLD jersey is like a top 5 jersey in the NHL right now. So
flying off the shelves.
No, seriously, like I want one. 80?
You might be the only person,
right?
Yeah, PLD, man, not an inspiring guy.
Well, okay. Then we'll talk to you tomorrow because tomorrow will be Thursday and we got one more this week. It should be a fun time. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.